So the local people in Epping have won, and I want to talk about it very briefly, but they're going to talk about it more on the podcast today, so I'll leave a link in the description, go and watch that. But there's one aspect of it that I want to talk about. I'm not on the podcast today, that's why I'm doing this little thing, but there's one aspect of it I wanted to highlight, just because it really bothers me that we are so unbelievably hamstrung, and everyone is talking about this like it's a massive victory, but I don't really see it as a massive victory, actually. I see it as the system getting away with it, and I don't like this. So, as the BBC reports, there was a High Court injunction blocking them from being housed there, and the government, Yvette Cooper in particular, the Home Secretary, tried to get the case dismissed. So the government was doing everything they could, everything in their power, to ensure that these asylum seekers, these unvetted young men, are housed within literally visual range of a school. Right? And this is unacceptable, you think. I mean, going down to the bottom, they tell us that this obviously began after 41-year-old Hadush Kebatu from Ethiopia charged with sexual assault. But a second man living there, a Syrian man called Mohammed Shawak, was charged with 2 counts of common assault and 4 of assault by beating. Concerning 4 complaints. So it's like there's 2 people in this hotel alone that are criminals, or allegedly criminals. And so this should be done for reasons other than technicalities, don't you think? I mean, the government is like, no, we want the criminals there with you. It's like, right, okay, thanks very much. Really appreciate that. Why do you want them to be so close to our children exactly? But no, Yvette Cooper is going to try and intercede on the behalf of the criminals and against you, and good for the people of Epping for coming out and protesting. But the reason that they got removed is just, I don't know, I just don't like it, right? So the good thing about this, the Home Office has warned the decision would substantially impact its ability to house asylum seekers in hotels across the UK. Well, maybe. This was brought to attention because of the protests, obviously. But anyway, we'll get to the lawyer's arguments as to why this is the case. So he concedes that some of the protests were attended by violence and disorder, but he said Somali hotels did not notify or advise the local planning authority to seek its views on use of the site, which he argued was no longer a hotel in the usual sense. No more a hotel than a borstal was to a young offender. Right, so that's pretty weird, don't you think? Not that, hang on a second, should we be having a bunch of dangerous men, unvetted men from overseas, housed next to a bunch of children? The rights of the children to safety and the families and the local people in the local area to safety is not important. In fact, he still argues, some protests have been attended with violence and disorder. Basically following the Narinder Kaur perspective that, these people are just thugs. These thugs have won. And it's like, okay, well, I mean, okay, I guess, but they didn't really win, did they? They did end up getting what they wanted, but they're still being smeared as thugs. It's still, the local community is still being essentially tarred with a really negative brush, as if they're in the wrong for not wanting a hotel full of people who are obviously contain some dangerous members among them, and who knows how many more, right? Like they don't want that in their community, especially they don't want that near their children. And so this is a write-up from the political editor of the Times, and it's very, very disappointing to me that this is the only way that we can somehow get things done in this country. In the end, the Bell Hotel, the asylum hotel in Epping, wasn't closed down because of protests, local fears, or crime and disorder. Right, so they were all a part of the plan. That was all perfectly fine. They were just like, no, crime, disorder, protests, whatever. We didn't care about any of those things. That's not an issue to us, the government and the legal system. These are all things that you can expect going forward. This is all part of the plan. No one panics, well, even if the plan's terrible, right? It all came down to planning laws, specifically the Town and County Planning Order of 1987. Epping Forest Council argued successfully that the owner of the hotel had failed to apply for planning permission for what was a material change of use for the hotel. What was once a venue used for weddings and conferences was turned over exclusively to the use of 138 male asylum seekers. Again, this is all part of the plan, right? This was all normal. None of that was a problem to these people. The judge blocked attempts by the Home Office to intervene, arguing that it was not relevant in what was ostensibly a planning laws dispute. So, great. That's what this comes down to. All of the political conversation and controversy surrounding this was actually irrelevant to the outcome. So it wasn't about like helping the people of Epping, right? It wasn't about actually making sure that we aren't just paying to have like 138 potentially dangerous men hanging around children or anything like that. No. It was about making sure we have a coherence in the really asinine laws, the planning laws, which themselves, again, these things are all atrocious. I hate these sort of laws. The complete, the petty tyranny of local bureaucracy is what this comes down to. You know, when you're watching on Clarkson's Farm, Jeremy Clarkson arguing with the Chipping Norton Council so that he can have a cafe or a pub or a restaurant on his property, and they say no for really petty reasons, like real petty tyrant reasons. This is what this is. This is the victory of that really insufferable regime over us. It's not in any way done for our benefit. It's being done to uphold the petty tyranny of these little bureaucrat dictators. And this is the thing I really hate. I mean, don't get me wrong, obviously we'll take the win. It's good that the migrants are out, the illegals are out. But the way it's been done is really annoying, because what they're doing is sidestepping the actual moral demands that are being made by the people in Epping and elsewhere about having, like 180,000 illegal men being, literally brought into the country after they break in and put up at your expense so they can predate on your children. Like, that's the real problem here, and that's the actual content and substance of the moral argument. And yet, it's down to a violation of planning laws. Again, it's so awful that this is the only way we get any movement on this. And even then the government was like, no, let it ride, bro. Let it ride. It's fine. We just need these 138, I was going to say potential rapists, at least some of them are rapists, a non-0% of whom we already know are criminals, and God knows how many more would become criminals in the future if they're just left there. We just need them near those kids. We just need them near the school. We need the British public to pay for them to be near the school. That was the point. And so, anyway, the local petty bureaucrat was like, "Well, sorry." And I'm really picturing the guy from Futurama, where he's technically correct, the best kind of correct. It really is that kind of Futurama parody of the bureaucracy that has intervened on our behalf. Luckily, this time, like, the government's hamstrung by the fucking bureaucracy of this country. Even the government is oppressed by it. It just so happens in this case it came out in our favour. But you see the problem with the country. You see the goddamn problem. Anyway, so this, Matt Goodwin's probably right. Probably wouldn't have happened, that public protest, because of course this probably would never have ended up going to the courts if people had been causing a big stink of it. But it's just annoying. And so Nigel Farage's writing, well, Epping has shown the way to win. It's like, not really. Like, Epping has shown that the petty tyranny and the local bureaucracies are more powerful than the government. Okay. And I like the fact that he's using, we must now detain and deport the thousands of illegals. Well, that's Rupert Lowe's rhetoric coming out of Nigel Farage's pen. Isn't that very interesting? But he's this whole thing, I read through this thing, it's very milquetoast, very wishy-washy, being like, well, they're not really far right. No, I agree. But again, the point being, this isn't about an actual victory over the government. The government could continue to do things. They could repeal the laws that were being used. They could do anything that they wanted about this, really, because they are the government. And so the problem has not been resolved, right? We have not had a substantive victory over the state on this. Writing to your local councillors and council leaders wasn't the reason this happened. The council wrote to the government. They didn't get it done. This wasn't the reason that this happened. This didn't happen through our actions, other than getting it into the public consciousness and forcing a lawsuit over it. But this is an issue. And so anyway, I mean, at least if this is something that can work, this is something that can work. Apparently, a second local authority has begun legal action to remove asylum seekers as well. So maybe they'll be like, yeah, so as the the precedent in Epping has shown, you were saying that this was a hotel, and actually you're not taking any bookings. Therefore, it's substantively not a hotel. And according to the planning law of 1987 or whatever it was, you didn't ask for permission for this, and therefore they have to go too. Oh, I guess so. I guess the petty bureaucrats rack up another win. I'm so tired of us always being on the outside of all of this, right? We are the people of this country who pay the goddamn bills. We are the people of this country to whom the country belongs, and the only thing that we can actually get any movement on are planning laws. Oh, and again, we're not getting any movement on the planning laws. They just happen to fall afoul of their own stupid petty bureaucracies. Right? Again, I'm just so tired of it. I'm so tired of it. But what can you do? You know, what can you do? I guess, again, I'm not sad or anything that this came out in our favour. Obviously, good that this came out in our favour. It's just really annoying how it means that next time we are basically hoping for this kind of act of luck. That, the planning laws just happened to be in our favour again. Oh, well, that's lucky that the government hadn't thought ahead on this, right? It's really lucky that we managed to get something done on it.